All right, it's Monday afternoon. We have a lot of activities that took place today, but the work actually started on a Saturday. Check out the foundation. Note the membrane's been installed. Behind that is a waterproofing. They had to come in on a Saturday in order to accommodate our schedule, our very busy schedule today. Notice the top of the Delta MS membrane. We still have to put the finishing cap on there, but for the most part, it's completed. So let's check out all the activities that took place today. All right, for starters, let's talk about the plumbing work. Look inside the bottom of the pit, you see that big coil of water line. The reason why there's so much extra water line there is because eventually it'll be straightened out and connected somewhere along the property line. So you want to ensure that there's adequate length for that stretch. On the inside of the foundation, you'll see it's been pulled to approximately where the future mechanical room will be sitting. This pipe will get buried with the gravel and eventually stood up so that it can be servicing the house from the mechanical room. The second thing that we installed today was the plumbing discharge pipe. Have a look there. We have a cleanout that extends upwards and has an elbow going down to the discharge. So in the event of a future plug, you can always service that plug from the connection from the outside of the house. So rather than going to the inside of the house, pulling off your toilets, sticking the router inside, you can actually service it from the outside without making a mess on the inside. Now, limitations are, if the plug happens to be from the house onwards rather than from somewhere inside the house. Another thing you want to notice there is, during the formwork, we had placed a 6-inch ABS pipe through the wall. Now that 6-inch pipe is currently housing a 4-inch pipe that's kind of floating inside there. It's booted off with Fernco couplings, a 6-to-4 from the outside. On the inside, you'll see it again, it goes from 6 to 4, it's capped off. That's where it'll connect to the rest of the plumbing system on the inside of the house. So for all of my houses, I would always put that same detail. It's for precaution against settling, gives the pipe a bit of movement, and as for that vertical part, it gives you the flexibility to service any kind of blockages from outside of the house rather than entering the house with all the big, heavy rotor-rooter equipment. If it can be unplugged from the outside, that's what that pipe's for. You'll see that the rainwater leaders and drain towers all been installed as well. They sprayed all the rocks on top of it for drainage. And have a look at something here. You'll see that on this project, the rainwater leaders, which are those vertical pipes, they're spaced off the wall. Now, normally in other houses, they might be tight. Here's an example. This pipe is tight against this house. You can see that the clearance for the eventual gutter is very limited. This is one of the older assemblies where the stucco is applied right over top of plywood, maybe with some rain screen. Now, for our site, we're gonna need a little bit more space because in addition to the plywood, we have 1.5 inches of outsulation. Plus, we have a thicker furring strips to hold those things down to the house. So you can imagine if these pipes are too close to the house, this gutter would have to come down and elbow in order to connect to the rainwater leader. By having it out 3.5 inches, it gives us a bit more space for a nice connection going straight down without any bends or elbows. So if you take a closer look at the horizontal pipe, they added 2 extra elbows to make that work. Sometimes the installer would just have a straight pipe coming up and use a 2x4 at the top to kind of angle it away, leaving a pipe that's basically angling down towards the main pickup pipe. Now that doesn't always look good because from the top of the concrete on this grade area, you'll see a major angled pipe, and that doesn't always look nice. So to have a nice straight pipe coming up, we use the spacer. In addition, we use a couple more elbows. It's a bit more work, but you get a much better product out of it. The third thing that took place today in this site was the surveyors had come by to take 2 measurements. One, the top of the concrete height, and they also measured the foundation was placed exactly where it should be placed. That's called the encroachment. So the inspection that's going to be called for that is called the NEC, and the inspector is going to expect to see a certificate from the surveyor indicating that the foundation was placed exactly where it should be placed. And lastly, you can see the foundation's been completely stripped. Well, all this was taking place as the surveyor was here, the drain tile guys were here, the plumbers were here, and they had to work with all these trades in place while the gravel was being sprayed. You can imagine how much work was taking place at the same time. So yeah, it was a pretty chaotic day, but look, the result is nice clean site. The forms are ready for pickup, and we're ready for the next inspections. So we have a couple of inspections that's going to take place tomorrow. One is the drain tile is going to be inspected. They're going to come and check for proper slope, and the cleanouts are all installed. Secondly, the building envelope engineer will come inspect the foundation for all the waterproofing and that everything's built to the way that he expected. So have a look in the back. The sumps have been delivered. Those will be placed in the back for the garage connection. The sumps in the front have also been delivered. Machines in place, ready for work. What we're waiting for is the drain tile inspection to pass. Once that's taken place, we will proceed with digging out the areas where we want to place the sumps. Get that inspected, and then we'll start backfilling the areas and slowly start filling the sides, but not too fast, because don't forget, this foundation was freshly poured. You don't want to exert too much pressure on the walls from the backfill. You want to give the concrete a bit more time to cure and harden, so it's going to reach its strength potential.